color.
This is for you.
Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to replace the faceplate for my gauge cluster on my 2001 Subaru Impreza 2.5 RS, GC8, whatever you want to call it. Picked this up from Taiwan, eBay. Typically the GC8s from 98 to 2001 had a white faceplate, and for some reason this is black. They probably got it from a 93 to maybe 01 2.2 liter or like an L model or 1.8, whatever, not a GC8. So I decided to pick this one up because it was white and it kind of matches the stock GC8. So during the day it looks pretty much stock. Here's a quick unboxing. It came in this black box. There is the inverter. I removed the plastic for you guys so I can show you the back. So there's this inverter. This side has double-sided tape, so you can stick it somewhere. There's three plugs. There's 4 plugs, and there's 2 wires for the 12 volt and the ground. So that's that. There's the glow gauge, black on the back. There's also tape and these wire crimps, so you don't have to solder. It also came with these instructions. It says here this is for Yamaha YZF R3. It's probably generic, but we're not really going to worry about that. So here it is. In order to get the gauge cluster off, there's 2 screws to remove this faceplate. There's one right there and one right there. Then you can pull this out. Next, there's 3 screws, one up here, one down here, and one down there. I'm already missing one here. Once we have those off, this just slides out. I have to use 2 hands to pry this or prop this over this cover. Make sure that this parking light, you push it back after, because you might drain your battery because it's on. We have 3 green plugs in the back. I'll just remove them and show you where they were. These are the 3 plugs that I pulled out. You would push this tab and pull it up, and they were in these locations. So you won't have this wiring. That's something that I decided to do because I couldn't get my gauge lights to work. When I bought the car, it wasn't working, so I just decided to hardwire them. Here is the test run. So I have the wiring hooked up. This glow gauge, there's actually 4 plugs. 2 of them are used for this. There's 2 more that are unused. It's hooked up to this inverter module, and then there's adjustments for brightness and to change from green to blue. These wires, this is hooked up the way I had it wired previously. There's a red wire that's actually it's actually tapped into my cigarette lighter light circuit. So whenever I turn the lights on, when I turn the headlights on, that receives 12 volts of power. And this blue one, I just have it grounded on the chassis behind the radio somewhere. I know that those work. So here it goes, turning the light on, and it looks like it works. So let's look at this controller here. We can adjust the brightness. It's getting dim. Now it's off. Now going back, it's bright again. And then over here we have this adjustment. I guess this is the green and this is the blue. Green, blue. So now that we know that it works, we're going to take apart this cluster and put this on. One thing I noticed is this is like some cheap laminate. It's like that lamination stuff you'd put in, and it doesn't entirely line up in certain areas, but that shouldn't be an issue. There's 5 tabs that we need to remove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just push this in, slide it up. After that, there's 6 more tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just gonna push those out. This comes off. Set that aside. Then there's also this faceplate that comes off. I'll start with the fuel and engine temperature. We got this double-sided tape, so I'm just gonna take a section, cut it off, apply it, just do this all around. Peel off the back of the tape. Then gently feed this through the needles. Then there's a few holes that line up. And once that's in, just firmly press it down. Just took a small plier and created a hole right here. That way the wires can come through. For the speedometer and odometer side, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to apply the tape. For me, I decided to put the tape in the location shown. It's really up to you where you want to put them. Then you're going to peel this backing off. Alright, once that's done, we're going to do the same thing and gently feed the needles through. Because this pin is in the way, I found that it's easier to feed it from the 12 o'clock position. Just be really careful here. Alright, cool. Make sure these holes are lined up and the ones around it. Okay, and it seems to be. Put these back at 0 and just firmly but gently push down the tape. I don't want to create another hole in the gauge in case I ever decide to take it off, so I'm going to feed it through the same hole that I used earlier. This would be a good time to retest your connections. I know that it works, so I'm just going to reinstall everything. So this plate goes back on. this clips back into place. Then we put the plastic back on, clip that on. I'm too lazy to look up the wiring diagram right now to figure out which one is a 12-volt switched and which one is ground. So I'm just going to use the connections that I had originally. So we have these splice, we have these taps, and essentially just put the wires in both, and when you push this down, when you close it, it's going to pinch both wires and create a contact. The best way is to solder it, but I'm kind of in a rush and just want to get it over with. So if it ever does not power on, then I know that this is the weak connection, and I can check then. I did the same thing for the ground, and I know that it works. For the inverter, I decided to stick it here, so I just took off this nut, put it there, and tied it back on. There's enough space, or there's enough length to put this cluster back in. Reattach the 3 plugs in the back. Reinstall the 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. Time to reinstall this shield. Rescrew the 2 screws, one over here and one over there. For this controller, I decided to put it with my other controls where the cruise control and fog light is. So once I can get this sticker off. It's really up to you where you want to put this controller, but I'm going to place it right here. You can hide this a little bit better. Let's see how well that sticks on. Here are the gauges installed. I can adjust the brightness. This is the lowest setting, and then this is the highest setting. And then I can also change the color. I noticed that the blue one, it makes this whining noise. Kind of like the green one better. So I'm just gonna take this around the block for a test spin, and then you can see how it looks like while I drive.